Hello and welcome to the Oxygenaddict Triathlon Podcast. We're brought to you every week by our sponsors, PrecisionHydration.com.
Precision Hydration offer electrolyte drinks in different strengths to match how you sweat. Personalise your hydration strategy today at PrecisionHydration.com, and you can get a special 20% off during August using the code Oxygen20.
It's hot, hells. It's hot and it's sweaty and you need to stay hydrated. Use the code, everyone. We're also brought to you by our patrons,
who support the show with a very kind monthly donation. You can get our 2018 Patrons Only podcast as a thank you.
Sure can. It's a cracking episode, that one as well. So if you want to become a monthly or even an annual donor, that would be most appreciated. Please follow the links in the show notes or on the webpage. All right, so rock and roll, hells. Here we are back on the show again. We've got loads of results to get through. How are you doing this week?
I am doing very, very well. You know, you said it's like hot again. I pedalled in today. I've had a bit of pedaling because, you know, we mentioned last week that Rich had come off the bike at the Outlaw and things, so he's still recovering, and that means that I've been doing a little bit more cycling / running / train to work, and it just, honestly, Rob, I get there and I'm like, I'm literally dripping, and I get on my bike at 6 o'clock in the morning because there's less traffic and it's a little bit cooler,
isn't it? This heat and humidity at the moment.
Wow. I was just like, this rucksack is really quite grim.
Okay,
that's the worst thing about it.
Donations, please, of washing powder for Helen's backpack.
Yeah, it'll be fine in winter.
I tell you, even going for like a 45-minute run in the morning, I'm thirsty for an hour afterwards if I don't take water with me. Usually I never take anything if I'm out for less than an hour, but it's been really noticeable again this week. So
I'm with you on that.
Can't believe how hot it must be down south. All my athletes who were down and people who raced at London Tri this weekend, it just looked stinking hot. And the run was 2k long as well at London, according to everyone's GPS. I don't know what happened there.
Really?
Yeah, everyone's recorded a 12k run. No, not after a stinking hot day like that.
No, so, really not.
Well done to anyone who completed London.
I'll tell you one thing I did do yesterday, which I don't usually do. I think other female listeners might be interested in this. They might not at all. But like when I go running, I usually go in a t-shirt, and I think t-shirt is very much the done thing in the UK. I actually just went in my sports bra yesterday and shorts, clearly. Really?
Going Baywatch? Yeah. You went full Baywatch.
I went and I was like, oh my God, I really wouldn't usually do this. And I don't know if it's sort of a confidence issue or quite what, but I had to like check with Rich. I was like, Rich, do you think it's acceptable to run around here
like so much comfier, like isn't it, without a top on though?
On the country lanes.
Yeah,
I was just like,
definitely.
Yeah, it was fine. I was very grateful to not have the t-shirt on yesterday, and this was like 5 p.m.
Yeah, it's been nuts warm, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yep. There we go.
All right, well, listen, let's jump into today's show with some results sponsored by our friends over at PrecisionHydration.com. So we already mentioned you can get 20% off during the month of August using the code Oxygen20. I highly recommend that you guys, if you're not already on it, get on the old Precision Hydration, get yourself a sweat test done online, and then get yourself some hydration salts. You can either get lovely little organic sachets that mix in with your water and taste of almost nothing. They certainly don't taste salty. Or you can get the little blister packs of salt tablets, which are the ones that got me through the Outlaw the other week. Either way, you need to be keeping on top of your electrolyte intake in this hot weather. So check them out. PrecisionHydration.com, and you can use the code Oxygen20 for 20% off during the month of August 2018. We've got a bit more coming from Precision Hydration later on in Coach's Couch as well. So around the world, hells, crazy stuff we've seen happening in the world of triathlon. First up, it was Norseman this weekend, and 238 athletes were racing over in Norseman, where it looks like it wasn't as freezing cold as it usually is. Although the pictures look pretty cold, don't they?
17 degrees, Rob, in the fjord.
17 degrees in the fjord, which is positively toasty. If people don't know about Norseman, get online and check it out. You jump off a ferry into a fjord. It's so cold that they spray you with ice cold water while you're on the ferry ride over there to help get acclimated to the water. And then it's a one-way ride of 180 kilometers up into the mountains, and then a marathon run up into the mountains, which finishes at the top of a ski resort. It's possibly it's the original hardest iron distance race in the world, isn't it? That's what we'll call it. There's lots vying for that title of that these days, but Norseman was the original. Can only get in by lottery. It's a stunning event. And old Harry Wiltshire was racing, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right, Rob. He raced after his win at, it was Keltman, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In those, biblical conditions. He came 6th at Norseman.
Speedy out the water, but it looks like a few people took him down. It's a tough old day out there, isn't it?
Yeah, I particularly like, Rob, there's a really, some great sort of photo galleries. You know, in the mixed relay, you always see super duper dives.
Oh, yeah.
Like that they do. Yeah. So there's a great photo of one of the athletes doing a bit of a sort of a swallow dive off the ferry.
I can see that.
Yeah. It looks like he's
could be a swallow dive. It could be the suicide chipmunk.
Yeah, one or the other. Absolutely one or the other. But yeah, really, really cracking photos and some rather superb performances, as you say, Rob. So Alan Hovde won for the 3rd time. So he's won it twice. Norwegian home race, 10:05. He had a 10-minute cushion. So it was a Norway 1-2-3 in the men's race. Harry Wiltshire came in 6th in 10:47, and Chris Sterling, fellow Briton, was 11th with 11:08. And then Rob, amazing stuff from Flora College of GB, who finished just over 12 hours to take 3rd. And I think her time actually broke the she would have been within like an old course, an old record. Mette Pedersen of Norway was the winner in 11 hours 16, and so yeah, she absolutely smashed the course record. And then Finland's Heine Hartikainen was 2nd.
Say that again.
Heine Hartikainen.
Love it. Favourite new triathlete's name. Sounds like a Norwegian mountain range.
Well, it's probably completely incorrect, but that's what I'm going with.
I like it.
So if you're Finnish, apologies.
Another super tough, exciting mountainous race over there was the old Alpe d'Huez Triathlon as well, which another one else is on my list of things to do that I've had my entry in for and had to cancel in the past. So it looks brilliant. 2 distances of racing, the medium race and the long race. So the medium is like it's like a long Olympic, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And the long distance race is kind of a mid-distance 6-hour kind of affair for the guys and 7 hours for the ladies. And it was wins on the ladies' side in the long distance race. We had Emma Billam takes it out at 6:51, and on the men's side, Freddie Van Leer just snuck under the 6-hour mark with 5:59. Do you know what, Hels? I had the results up before for the medium distance, and they've just dropped off the page. Oh, there we go. Justine Guerrard wins the ladies' race in 2:11, and Tom Richard wins the men's in 1:52. Also give a shout out there to Susie Richards down in 8th place in the ladies in that race, and Becky Tipping in 10th.
Fantastic. Really, really fantastic. And Rob, the other person, Ruth Purbrook, who we're going to have on the show shortly, she was racing as well.
I did not know that. Where was that?
Yes, she was racing, and she was 11th in the longer race.
Just off my little list there. There we go.
Yeah, so 7:40, and then a very impressive performance as well from Sophie Bubb. So she's a fellow age grouper in 7:52, who was 13th.
Jolly good. Very impressive.
Yeah,
so we've got go on.
Sorry, I was going to give you throw another name into the mix here. Only because I was watching it on Channel 4 on Sunday. You know, sometimes when you put the triathlon thing on early doors. Lucy Biddleston, who I think she won the Bastion for the 3rd time. She was 15th in 7:59. There you go.
Good knowledge, Hels. Loving it.
Thanks.
Right, Ironman Maastricht over in the Netherlands was a pro only for the women race, wasn't it?
Yes, that is correct, Rob. And a win. This is a great story for Els Visser. Okay, so Els Visser is Dutch, so fantastic for her winning in her home country ahead of Yvonne van Verken and Sonja Brace-Girdle. But, Rob, what is pretty incredible, I think, about Els Visser is clearly this girl is ridiculously talented, okay? She did her first ever triathlon in basically 2 years ago, August 2016. It was a sprint distance in Amsterdam. She won it. This race just gone over the weekend was her 4th ever Ironman. So she said that she signed up for Ironman Zurich in July 2017, so only a year ago, like totally impulsively. And she actually finished that day 4th. So she was not racing pro at all. She was an age grouper and she finished 4th female overall. She's also, I've said she's ridiculously talented. Clearly she's also a very clever cookie. She's a doctor.
Wowzers.
Yep. And she has taken a little bit of a break at the moment because she's moved to Australia to train out with the Triathlete squad. So she's working under Robbie Hayward, I think, out in Australia. And is it Susie Langley?
I'm not
Susie
sure.
Langley and
Okay.
Robbie Hayward. Yeah. So she's out there training hard. And I just think we are going to hear a lot more about her, given that it was her 4th ever Ironman and she got the win.
Yeah, to take a pro win in your 4th Ironman race, and especially a year after taking up the sport, that's pretty incredible, isn't it? A year after your first Ironman.
Yep.
Top stuff. There's a name there, Hels. This is one of Helen's ones to watch, everybody. Els Visser. There you go. Keep your eye on it. Now, here's another one to watch over at 70.3 Gdynia in Poland. We had quite possibly the performance of the year from Daniela Ryf, didn't we?
Oh my goodness, Robert. I had to sort of like do a double take on this one.
Gets an oh my goodness from Helen.
It's speechless.
Yeah.
She finished, Rob, 10 minutes slower than Tim O'Donnell, who took the overall win. She was 6th overall, including the men. And yeah, it's an Ironman best sort of what? Yeah. An Ironman 70.3 best time ever.
Just absolutely stunning. Yeah, 3 hours 57. And to put it in context, she's only 5 minutes behind second in the men's race. Although she was 10 minutes behind the win, she's only 5 minutes off second behind Nils Fromhold. So she's done the 24:35 swim, 2:12 on the bike, and closes with a 1:17 run. She put, let's get the maths right here, 23 minutes into Rinny Caffrey. 23 minutes into her. Now, Rinny's not in her peak condition yet, obviously, but fastest ever 70.3 performance by a lady. Hats off, Miss Ryf, hats off.
Wow. So, Rob, I don't think there's too much doubt about who will go into the 70.3 World Championships as a firm favourite.
She's in good form already, though. Can it last all the way through the year? This is the question. When someone's in such incredible form this time of year, will it last? That's my only.
That race on that place.
Yeah.
Called, that big island.
That big island at the end of the year. Will it last? I guess we'll find out.
We will find out.
Right then. So that's the old results from this week. So let's jump over and do a bit of Coach's Couch action. Now, one thing I want to mention here to the listeners before we do Coach's Couch this week, I've had another request this week via email. Let's see if I can find out the chap's name. No, I've not got it here. He said, how about we have a novice's couch?
Oh, another one.
What a great idea. So second person in the week. He didn't say novice's couch, actually. He said novice's, how was it he phrased it? Novice's corner. It's Will Pither. That's who sent it through. So let's have a novice's.
Hi, Will.
So thanks very much, Will. He sent a great email through that says, I'm looking for some advice. After a weekend volunteering at the Outlaw, I've got the bug and I want some recommendations for an Olympic distance race in the run up to the Outlaw Half next year. So he's from South Leicestershire. So I thought we'd put it out to the listeners. Any South Leicestershire listeners who could recommend Will an Olympic distance race in the run up to Half Outlaw next year. Let's see if we can get some people sending them in either via Twitter or Facebook. And obviously you guys will know the area better than us. But he said, how about we have like a novice's corner? So I thought that's a great idea. If there's any people out there who are brand new to triathlon, want to send some questions in for Coach's Couch, we'll make them really beginner specific because, you know, my friend the other day made this point, like you go into the intricacies of percentages of FTP for doing sweet spot training and things like this. I need to know which way to get my wetsuit on, whether the zip goes at the front or the back. And I laughed and she was like, no, I'm being dead serious. There's loads of this stuff that we don't know. We don't know whether the goggles should go under the hat or over the hat. And little tips like that would be really useful. So Anything that you want to know, if you're a novice out there, send them through via email. You can send them to helen@oxygenaddict.com or help@oxygenaddict.com, and we will stick them into a future show. All right, so this week we're going to talk about, there's a great blog been put up by Andy Blow from Precision Hydration on staying hydrated during the run leg of a triathlon. It ties in a bit with the novice idea, but this was first and foremost in my mind doing the marathon at Outlaw the other week, as I was watching the people go through the aid stations, and there's so much time can be made up going through an aid station well over someone who gets to the aid station and their brain tells them, look at this, it's a buffet, let's hang out here and have a chat for a while. So the first tip for this is, especially for people who are, trying to go for some kind of performances, your little chimp brain is going to tell you that you should stop and hang out and talk to the nice people and listen to the Bon Jovi music playing. So kind of ignore that and keep on trucking. So we've got some tips here from Andy Blow on the best way to try and get how to get some water into you as you're going through the aid station without making a mess of it. Sounds like it's going to be dead simple, but he's got 5 top tips that I think are brilliant from his blog. So let's read them off, Hels.
So first one, Rob, is line up on the correct side of the road. Sounds very obvious, but...
Yeah, it totally does. And he makes this great point. If you swerve across towards the aid station at the last minute, you're going to bang into people. And even at the Outlaw, where the path is only 2 meters wide, it's carnage going through those aid stations sometimes. So find the person in the line who's got the thing that you want, and just kind of make a beeline for that person. So it's not as clear cut, I think, as swerving across the road as it would be in a running race, but start to work out whereabouts in the order of the drinks and things the thing that you want is. That's number 1.
Number 2, slow down for the grab and make eye contact.
This is a great one that goes on the bike as well, I think, is actually looking
totally.
the volunteer in the eye as you're coming in and saying, yeah, I want water. Who's got water, please? You have. Thank you. I'll have that one. Reaching out for it and make that contact with the volunteer who's got it there. If you can go down and slow to a walk just before that happens, you've got a much greater chance of not spilling most of your drink all over yourself and all over your shoes. So you might think it's a bit of insignificant time loss, but this is going to help you keep moving and ultimately get the best time you can as you're going through.
I'm going to throw another bit into number 2 as well there, Rob.
Yep.
Sometimes you have kids on aid stations, and I would say if you are wanting to go through pretty quickly, this is nothing against kids, but go for the adult who's holding that water bottle.
Absolutely. I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah. Go with someone who looks like they've done it before. If you're trying to go through quickly and sort of, keep your motion running and keep it smooth. That would be my top tip. I remember at Chester this year, I think there were quite a lot of kids, and I was like, no, I'm just going with the adult.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Number 3, squeeze the top of the cup to stop liquid escaping and create a funnel. So this, Rob, will be if you're given a paper cup rather than a bottle.
Yeah, so if you get a bottle, it's great. If you get given a cup, this is the way to go. If you kind of put your fingers either side of the top of the rim of that cup and you squeeze it together, what will happen is it makes a kind of spout at one end and liquid won't get out the other, and you can kind of sip the liquid out of it rather than trying to jog or walk and getting water all over yourself. So making that little spout and sipping from it as you go along is a really good tip. So make like a kind of little narrow funnel from a little bit of liquid can escape, and you can carefully pour it out into your mouth as you go.
Number 4, don't rush.
It's a great one, isn't it? Trying to get through the aid station quickly is forefront in your mind, but if you slow yourself down, go to a walk just before you get the thing that you want, and then take your time. Once you've got the drink in your hand, calm yourself down, gather yourself, and then you can take small sips of fluid while your breathing settles, because it's really hard to drink, isn't it, when you're out of breath, especially if you're doing this in a shorter distance race, a sprint or an Olympic. So get your breathing together, and then if you've ended up miles away from the aid station, just be mindful of where you end up when you get rid of the cup. That's a great tip from Andy, because I ended up walking with a drink of one of the aid stations at the Outlaw and ended up 100 meters down, and I certainly didn't want to just chuck it on the ground. So I ended up just saying to a little group of spectators, would you mind putting this in the bin for me? So they were dead happy to do that for me, or at least I ran away before they could say no.
At least they were like, oh God, yeah. I've done that with gels before. As in, sometimes if I've had a gel, like we were saying last week about having gels in a cycling pocket and the gels just going up and down.
Yeah.
I've definitely had that, and I thought, this is just doing my head in. So I would have just said, look, please just
gave
take
them
this
away,
gel.
did you?
Just get rid of it. Yep, get rid of it.
Yeah, I hear you.
And Rob, the other thing, top tip there about not rushing is, if you do slow down a little bit when you're going through the aid stations on the run, at least then if someone does suddenly like dart to the other side, you're not going to get really peed off with them.
Creamed by them, yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes you've just got to be you do always have to be very aware of what those other people are doing around you. And if you have slowed down a little bit, then you're more likely to accept this, person charging in front of you.
All right, number 5.
Dump the leftover water on your head. It's like the favourite thing to do. Yeah,
that's a great tip, isn't it? Because quite often you've got that little bit of water left. Don't do this if you've taken some kind of sticky, sugary drink, or it's got High Five Zero in, or it's got Coke in. You don't want to be tipping that over your head. But if you've got a mouthful of water into you and then a mouthful of water over your head, it can keep you really cool, really simply, can't it?
Yeah, that is generally, but in a hot race, that is often what I'll do. I'll have a couple of sips and then throw the rest over me. It does help. You do end up with wet feet usually, but I can deal with that.
Right, so if you want to know more, you can go to precisionhydration.com /blogs, and they've got a blog there called How to Drink When You're Running. Some really good advice and some top tips there. And even if it saves you just getting a bit of liquid on your feet as you're running along, it's well worth a quick read. And let's be honest, what are you going to be doing at work anyway? It's not like you're going to be doing work, is it?
Oi, get back to it. Stop listening to this podcast. Come on, right. Go and get to that meeting.
Okay, good stuff. So Coach's Couch is brought to you by Team Oxygen Addict. You can check us out over at team.oxygenaddict.com. We've got some memberships available at the moment if you're looking for triathlon coaching going forward. So just have a look on the website and get in touch if you want to know more information. Right, Hels, this week's interview is the wonderful Ruth Purbrook.
Yeah, Ruth is she's amazing, Rob. I don't quite know how she fits everything in, as you will hear shortly in the interview. You obviously had a catch up with her. We've had her on previously on the podcast.
Do you know, it was 2 years ago since we had her on.
Yeah, well, it's great to see her continuing to flourish and doing fantastically well.
It sure is. So Ruth finished 3rd in Kona last year in the 25 to 29 age group, and that was only a 2nd Ironman. She's recently raced Ironman France, and she had a fantastic race there. She won her age group. She won the age group race overall and finished 6th female. So super talented athlete, hard worker. And here we go. Today's interview of the week is with Ruth Purbrook. All right, so Ruth Purbrook, welcome back onto the show. It's great to have you back on. I think it's been a couple of years since we've had you on now. So dead excited to get you back on and get caught up with what's been going on in your life for the last couple of years. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Great to be back on. I think actually my first time on was the last of the Cup of Tri podcast. So my first time on the Oxygen Addict podcast.
Oh, there you go. It was the last one under the old name, as it were.
Exactly.
Well, a lot's happened in your world since then, hasn't it? In terms of, well, some things change and some things don't. You're still very successful, but you've managed to make that transition into the Ironman distance racing world extremely well. And as we talk now, there's probably, I think we worked out 12, 13, 14 weeks to go till Kona as we're talking now. So things are going pretty well. How's your year played out this year for you in 2018?
Yeah, I have to say, it's been a really good year. I think I wasn't really sure if I could kind of top off last year. I think last year was kind of testing out Ironman. It all kind of went probably a bit better than my expectations after initially not being a great race at Lanzarote. But this year I think I've benefited from the kind of experience of having done sort of like a couple of Ironmans running into this year, and then I've actually I had a really, really good, consistent winter of training without any of the kind of usual niggles or injuries that I've had over the past couple of years. So that is, I'm really starting to see that come through now in my training.
It's always good when you get a consistent block of training in, isn't it? And that doesn't bother you. Well, let's start by going back a little bit then, because 2017, you finished up racing Kona and taking third place in the 25 to 29 age category. So pretty damn good result by anybody's stretch of the imagination. Talk us through your day out there. How did it? I know you alluded to this, but you felt that maybe Lanzarote didn't quite go the way that you'd hoped it to in the run up to that. So how was it racing Kona? And it's pretty unusual in a way that somebody gets it right in Kona when it hadn't gone quite the way they hoped for in their qualification race.
Yeah, so I think I was very careful going into Kona to try and not have really high expectations. I think probably part of the problem with Lanzarote is that I placed a huge amount of pressure on myself, and I kind of had in my head sort of times and expectations of where I thought I should finish and how I thought the race should go. So kind of like, I think mentally it was quite tough to then almost deliver that, especially on my first Ironman. So kind of going into Kona, I'd had lots and lots of chats with Will, my coach, and he's actually been brilliant in terms of that mental side of things, as well as obviously the kind of physical training. I think heading into it, having sort of no expectations other than actually let's just try and enjoy the day. My main aim was to be able to run the whole marathon, because like my issue in Lanzarote was sort of tummy trouble. Was basically having to stop at every single Portaloo. So my main aim was let's not have that happen at Kona.
You got your money's worth there.
Yeah, it was a very long.
I can't imagine the Portaloos at Lanzarote a particularly pleasant environment given the heat and the volume of people. Man, I feel for you.
Really not good. So yeah, and I really wanted to kind of have the kind of race where I could work out if I actually liked the Ironman distance or not, because obviously Lanzarote wasn't the best experience. But yeah, so I headed out there probably just over a week before the race. I kind of got stuck into a fair amount of the stuff going on, but I was staying a little bit out of town, actually sort of with Will, which again was quite interesting, because he had kind of had a really good season and then broken his collarbone sort of 10 weeks out of Kona and couldn't race, but he came out anyway because he had booked it all.
We should mention Will is Will Clark, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, just assume that everyone knows who he is.
No, so Willard, that's right. Will had broken his collarbone and he was out in Kona anyway, even though he wasn't racing. So that must have been great for you to have that sort of wealth of knowledge to call upon in the nervous days before the race.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I think that really did help sort of running into it. And again, like he's got so much experience, so much knowledge, and just having someone that's kind of been to Kona before they're with you, who can kind of, like almost kind of feel for how crazy it all is. And, like it is just my expectations going out before, because I went to Australia in 2016 to do the 70.3 World Champs. And I don't know, I kind of just expected Kona would kind of be like that, and didn't really think a huge amount of it. And when you get out there, I mean, for me, I felt it was kind of like 70.3 Worlds, but on steroids. It is just, everything is on massive scale, like all of the sponsors out there. Generally speaking, it's just, and like all the top athletes out there. Everywhere you look, there's all these ridiculously toned, fit-looking people with all the best kit, and it's just the whole thing. It is quite crazy, and I think it's quite easy to get a bit overwhelmed by it. So kind of having Will out there really, really helped be like, no, it's just another day. You're just going out to race, and you just kind of do what you can. I mean, the swim, not my favourite part. And I'd done the practice. They do a kind of a test on the course the week before, and I'd done that having flown in the night before, so on about sort of 5 hours sleep, and kind of just went and did it mainly to like see some of the other guys from Team Free Speed and just to see the course. And I did a really good swim on that practice swim. I think I did like a 1:02 or something. So again, like heading into the race, I was like, great, maybe I can get close to an hour. This is going to be an amazing start to my day. And I kind of got in, didn't manage to get myself anywhere near the front of the sort of women's wave. I think I was about 4 back, and it was just like those kind of mass starts in the water. It's already hectic to start with, and you're already kind of fighting to just not get sort of pushed under. And we kind of set off, I think probably like 200-300 meters in, found a bit of space, was already nice until we got about halfway, and then started catching all the slow men, and then it just got like really busy, really hard to go anywhere. You just kept kind of swimming into people. So it wasn't quite the kind of amazing swim I wanted, but actually I think I came out in about 104, so I was pretty happy with that, all things considered. And then like you're just happy that you've got the swim over with, and you can get out on the bike. And on the bike again, to be honest, Will's main advice had been, don't go too hard. We had a kind of rough idea of sort of the power that I'd be trying to hit, but obviously like it's quite windy, it's quite hot. Obviously there's so many people out on the course, there are quite a lot of packs, and I think like my biggest fear was getting caught up in a pack and getting done for drafting. You hear lots of horror stories, and actually like the beginning bit heading out was pretty frustrating. So there were lots of packs coming past. I saw quite a few girls trying to hop on with some of the guys, and the amount that people will cheat when they don't have to was kind of frustrating.
It's one thing to get caught up in it, but when you're watching people actually deliberately jumping into male packs, that must be really frustrating for an athlete of your caliber.
Yeah, and actually, to be honest, like the worst thing was there was so I ended up in a group of about, I think there was sort of 3 or 4 ladies sort of heading out, and we were all trying to stick to the sort of like 10 to 12 meters, and you could see that whoever was kind of at the front of that was sitting up when people came past, and there were occasions when we had to get a bit closer to get past some of the bigger groups. But there was one girl who decided that she was just going to sit right on the wheel, like literally right on the wheel of the girl in front. So much so that I went up to this girl in front and kind of said, this girl's right on the wheel, you might want to try and wheel something to get her off. And she literally just stuck to her wheel the whole way out. I then lost contact with those girls when I got my special needs bag, so I don't know if she did it the whole way back, but that annoyed me a lot. But if people want to win by cheating, then they can do that. I'm not really sure how you get the satisfaction, but anyway, other than that, the bike course was really good. I just kept constant power, generally felt quite good, was managing to eat and drink and didn't get too hot. Definitely, again, the other things that people don't necessarily talk about that much, it's a really boring bike course.
Yeah, how do you deal with that? Because it is essentially one great big out and back through a massive black lava field, isn't it? There's not a huge amount going on to watch as you go out there. So how did you deal with the mental aspect of that?
So I think for me, I was just trying to kind of find people that I could see in front and just try and slowly reel them in. And that was about the only way. And, trying to spot people by like different colours and just try and keep it interesting like that. And then like I also kind of try and break it down into smaller blocks of like, okay, you've got the next 20 minutes until you have your next gel or Cliff Bar, and like trying to, I find it a lot easier kind of breaking stuff into smaller blocks, and then it doesn't seem quite so far. I think it's the point at which you have come back down from Harvey and you turn onto the motorway to come back, and you've still got, I can't remember, something still like 50-60k or something, and it just, at that point it does seem like a really, really long way, and it's when you're starting to get a bit tired, a bit hot. So yeah, I sort of broke that into 10k blocks to just sort of get through it.
And eventually you managed to get yourself there, and you get yourself back to face a marathon in the heat, which is no one's idea of a good time at that point. How bad was the heat? How did you find it, and how did you react to it?
I think we actually got quite lucky in it not being a ridiculously hot day. I think it was maybe about 26, 27, but it definitely wasn't the kind of like the most humid day they've had. So okay, it didn't actually seem too bad. But like for me, I seem to be all right in the heat actually. And I think particularly since kind of getting all the support from Precision Hydration, I know you obviously talk about them quite a lot and how they've helped you, but I also find, we're sponsored by them with Free Speed, and I've had no issues with cramping or any kind of hydration issues, as long as I make sure I've got the right concentration for me out on the course.
Yeah.
So I find that definitely, and I'll drink that in the days leading up to the race, like with my water, as well as then during the race, and that seems to do me pretty well.
Well, that's good, isn't it? You've absolutely got to take care of your hydration at the best of times. But when you're out in the heat and humidity of Kona, I've only been out there, and I've been out and not raced, but even then, I remember walking out of the airport and thinking, the sun feels toxic. You kind of like, there is no question. And I'm going a little bit thin on top. I don't mind admitting. Some would say I'm very bald, but I was like, I can feel the sun burning through my skull into my brain.
Yeah.
So before you even think about exercising, there's the whole sort of just surviving as a human there aspect. So, racing to any kind of performance, you've got to take care of all that little stuff as well. And it's so good to hear that the stomach problems that plagued you in Lanzarote didn't affect you so much when you were out there at Kona. What did you do differently that do you think helped avoid those problems when you were in Kona?
Yeah, so I think there was a couple of things in Lanzarote. I think I probably over carbo loaded in the couple of days running up to it.
Okay.
And probably just ate far too much for what I needed to. And I also think I swallowed a lot of seawater.
Okay,
So I think because I was sick, like right coming out of the sea in Lanzarote, so I knew kind of from the beginning it wasn't going to be an amazing day out.
That's really going to mess your stomach, isn't it? Right from the off, without trying to exercise
not
all
ideal.
day.
So Kona, I was much more careful about not overdoing it, and I just cut all sort of kind of fibre and fruit and stuff out probably from like 3 days before, to just try and make sure there was nothing that was going to react badly.
White bread, the camper's friend.
yeah, exactly. And then I actually, like, to be fair, still in Kona, I didn't really eat much on the run because I didn't want to. I think I was still a bit nervous about it, so I didn't really want to push it. So I basically did the marathon on Coke.
Okay.
Which seemed to work all right. It was nothing magic time-wise, but it got me through, and I managed to run the whole way. So I was kind of coming down that last bit, just sort of grinning away, and Will sort of turned up to tell me, that I was in third and that I should be able to hold that. So kind of, I got to the end and was just delighted to have done the kind of race that I wanted to do. So to then be able to get a podium off the back of that was kind of beyond my kind of expectations going into the race. So all in all, Kona was pretty good.
Did you know where the other girls were around you in your age group when you were out there racing? Because I'd imagine, you went, I'm looking at the results here, you went 10:08 overall. So, congratulations. That's a fantastic time on that course. But being the stacked field that it is, there's a lot of people, especially age group men, that you mixed in with around there. Did you have any sense of where you were? And did you see any of the other girls that you were racing? Or was it just like a get your head down and do the best you can and the result is what it is?
Yes, I had no idea where I was until probably that last sort of 6-7K when Will came up and told me. Because it's impossible to kind of tell unless you can see people's bibs, because they had color coded them. But when you're running, so I'd seen a couple of girls on the bike, and that initial group I'd been with, I knew there was a lady in my age group in that group, so I knew there was someone up ahead of me. But I didn't realise there were two up ahead until he said. And actually, funnily enough, he was like, "Oh, Ali's only like 2 minutes ahead of you," and I thought he was talking about Ali Rowett from Free Speed, who had come absolutely flying past me on the run. So I sort of turned back. I was like, well, there's no way I'm catching her. So I don't know why you're bothering to tell me that. And didn't really think anything of it. But he was obviously talking about Ali Wilson, who was in my age group and who was sort of 2 minutes up the road. But again, I don't think I had anything else I could have done in terms of running faster. But that was quite funny.
Well, it is interesting, isn't it, that 2 minutes on paper, you look at that and you go, oh, well, maybe if you knew where you were, could you have caught them? And then the reality is, on race day, you come into the end of the marathon and you're just trying to put one foot in front of the other and get to the finish line, aren't you? 2 minutes may as well be 2 days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's then just survival and make sure you're still standing up when you come over that finish line.
Well, so, congratulations. Third place in your age group. You get to stand on the podium in your first appearance at Kona, which is just fantastic. So we fast forward into 2018. You train your backside off all through the winter. And I mean, let's paint the picture a little bit at this point as well. Tell us what you do for a living.
So I work for Lloyds Bank. I was working as a kind of, is that all right? Sorry, someone was trying to ring me.
No, that's okay. We still got you.
Good. So I was working as a kind of business manager in our commercial division. But I've actually, as of sort of 4 weeks ago, just moved into a new part of the bank to support our head of our information office. So it's moving into the kind of technology and digital world, which is a much bigger world. So he's got a team of, at the moment, it's about 3,500 people. And as of 3 weeks' time, it's going to be about 7,000 people. So a much bigger role, but it's been really interesting, actually. And I think...
So you're working a full-time job?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Probably,
very
what we're talking, 60-hour weeks?
Yeah, probably this new role is going to be sort of, 60 to 70-hour weeks.
And on top of that, you're still managing to find the time to somehow fit in the necessary 15 to 20 hours a week of training. So talk us through your sort of standard day and week in terms of, you know, when you get up, when you train, when you go to bed, how you fit it all in. Because I think that's one thing that people see, Team Free Speed. Oh, you know, you get sponsored and you get kit and you've probably got an easy life and you probably get paid to do this. I think people's eyebrows raise when they realise that you work in an extremely busy full-time, more than full-time job as well on top of this.
Yeah, and I think actually the more that, you know, if I look at some of the Team Free Speed teammates as well, I mean, the stuff that they juggle, because most of them have got families as well. So the fact that I don't have kids to deal with definitely helps, because I think that's probably, you know, an additional massive stress on people's lives. So,
Sure.
so I actually think, you know, I have it reasonably easy. So probably typical week, I wake up most days at 5 and try and do my harder session in the morning. Like, I'm much more of an early bird, so that kind of works for me. And it also means that then if work gets in the way, I've at least got like a pretty decent session done. And then most of the times I will have an evening session as well. But yeah, I try and make that either the kind of easier session, or if there's some club sessions I can go to. So I'm still part of Full On Tri, which is my local tri club in London. And I try and make their sort of Thursday swim sessions, because I find for the swim especially, it's very helpful having people around to help push you on. I find it much harder to push hard when it's just me on my own. And then get kind of some decent volume in at the weekends, like the longer bike rides and the longer runs. But I think most of it is just, you have to make sure you just have to get up when your alarm goes off. If you start snoozing, then that's very dangerous.
That's a great tip, actually. That should be on the back of a T-shirt for anybody trying to train around a full-time job. There is no snooze option.
No, there just can't be, because as soon as you give yourself that little window of, oh, I could snooze, then it's just gone, because you're generally running on being quite tired. So you just have to get up. And I'm also like pretty lucky that my husband is a very good cyclist, so he's also getting up at that time, if not earlier. So again, if he's woken up and got out of bed, there's no excuses to not get out and join him in training.
So you've got the joint turbo dungeon going on, have you? Side by side on Zwift, yeah?
Yeah.
Love it.
It's good.
And are we about right in the sort of the 15 to 20 hours a week? Is that where you end up being most weeks, or does it wax and wane with the different seasons?
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty typical. Yeah, that's about what I try and get.
And living down in London, how do you go about getting in your long rides? I imagine it's fairly difficult actually getting to some decent roads that you can get the hours in that you need to on your long ride.
Yeah, I mean, we tend to head out either into Surrey or like my longer rides, I've actually just sort of ridden down to Brighton and back. Yeah, it's like, it always takes a while to get out of London, and a lot of the roads, particularly around Surrey, are pretty horrible. We were down in Dartmoor this weekend, and just the roads, like, they're so much quieter, generally much less potholes. And I was like, actually, it's so nice riding on roads that you're not worried the whole time you're just about to disappear halfway down the road.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it has its challenges, but on the plus side, there's lots and lots of people around here to go training with. So you can always find someone to go on a long ride with, typically. And actually, you know, like, so where I live, we're about 5-minute cycle from Richmond Park, so that's where I get most of my morning sessions done, which is kind of the perfect sort of training playground.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, so, you know, like, you know, it has its benefits and its not benefits. So it's kind of, you just got to take what the good things are that you can from it, and just work around the kind of challenges, because I think everyone's got things that make life easier or not for them with their training from where they live.
So tell us about your racing in 2018 then. I know that you went down and you've got your slot ready for Kona for this year. We already covered that with a fairly handy result at Ironman Nice. So talk us through your day there.
Yeah, I mean, Nice was pretty incredible, actually. Obviously, I knew I'd done a good winter's training, and I'd had many discussions with Will leading up to it about what I could try and expect and what I should be aiming for. And again, I think Ironman's such a long day. You've got to make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on yourself. But yeah, like, I generally just it was one of those days where everything kind of fitted together. It all went really well, and I actually had my first sort of Ironman where I was able to sort of eat and drink the whole way through, which was kind of, obviously it makes a bit of a difference being able to take on proper nutrition during a marathon. But yeah, I mein, the swim we'd kind of practiced it the day before, and it was really nice and flat, kind of perfect. And I wouldn't say it was like really choppy, but I think just because of the nature of the course, you kind of go like out and back and then out and back again, which makes it kind of choppy-ish in the water, you know, like nothing compared to, say, Edinburgh 70.3 last year, but like it wasn't completely flat.
There's a lot of people moving in the water there, aren't there? It's like how do you explain it? It's like you go out in a U shape in one direction and then kind of swim back in the U shape on the inside of it on the way back round, don't you? I think is the best way to describe it. So it always feels as though there's a lot of people swimming, often in all different directions at once.
Exactly. And again, it's one of those things where even though you're going out in a straight line for quite a while, whenever there's a buoy, even though you're still going straight and you're not having to turn, people just seem to kind of slow down, start swimming like complete idiots. So like pretty much every buoy we got to, like people would then crowd round and you'd start getting swum over, and you know, the usual usual what you have to deal with in a swim like that. But yeah, like generally the swim sort of went kind of, I came out thinking, oh, it's kind of average. I was expecting to come out probably in about 105, and I didn't have my watch on because the new Orca wetsuit, actually, like the arms are kind of so thin that you can't really get the watch on and be able to take the wetsuit off properly.
Yeah.
But I looked up at the clock as I was running into transition, and it sort of said 106, and I was like, oh, well, I know that the pro men went 6 minutes before us. So I was like, maybe I've done it in an hour. Like, that'd be incredible. Yeah. And then sort of, you know, didn't really think about it. And then when I looked back at the results later, I was like, oh, I actually did do it in an hour. Which, considering how it felt in the water, I was pretty happy with. So that was kind of a good way to start the day. And yeah, then out onto the bike. And I mean, that bike course is just like the best bike course I've done.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Out of all 3 Ironmans I've done, but it's just, yeah, like incredible. The first bit when you're heading out, and you start getting to the climbs, and it's just like as you're heading up through the valleys, and you've got like the waterfalls on your side and like the views down the valley, and just, yeah, really, really beautiful. And obviously it's quite tough because you've got pretty much the first 60k is kind of heading upwards most of the time, but then like the kind of rolling section, and then you get about 30k of descent, which just like it was absolute magic, because all, you know, like there's nice wide corners and nothing too technical. So yeah, to be honest, like pretty much the whole bike course I was just absolutely loving it, because it was just so much fun.
So did you have a sense of how far up the field you were at any point? Because I'm sitting here scanning the results as we go through. We should mention you were 6th overall, as well as winning your age group. But if my maths is right, you actually beat Lisa Roberts off the bike and onto the run course. So you were probably in like 3rd or 4th overall in the ladies at this point.
Yeah, I did. I had a set, so probably like within 10k on the bike course, Corinne Abraham actually came past me.
Yeah.
And we probably had about 10k before we hit the climb where she was riding kind of just ahead of me. And actually it was really interesting because you could see like how much the female pros race is impacted by the age groupers, because she kept getting these little groups of men coming past her and she would then have to sit up.
Yeah.
I mean, she clearly then went on and absolutely smashed it, so it clearly wasn't too much of a negative impact. But so when I saw her come past, I was like, oh, okay, like I can't.
I'm having a good day. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can't be kind of too far down. So, and then I think probably about halfway through the bike, there was someone else that I passed who had like a pro bib on. So I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. That, you know, clearly doing quite well to catch a couple of them. And I also, there was another pro that I was riding with for a bit further on. So I got a sense that I was doing quite well on the bike. But given that that's my strength, I guess I probably kind of have expectations that I would be sort of reasonably up there on the bike. So yeah, and then as I headed into transition from the bike, Paul Kay kind of shouted out, "Oh, we got our first age grouper in." So at that point, I sort of knew, you know, that at least I was ahead to start with, and then I just had to hold it together on the run.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. And then you closed down. I mean, your splits were you swam an hour flat. You did 5:30 on the bike, which is moving on that bike course, and then a 3:17 marathon to finish it with for a 9:56 overall, which put you 6th place overall and probably less than 10 minutes behind the 5th, who was a pro lady. So that's. It seems like each race you do, you're making a step change forward. You know, that 3:17 is an improvement on the 3:28 you did in Kona. So do you have that confidence going forward that each time you race there's going to be a step change happens and you're going to be a bit further up the road?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think especially with Ironman, a lot of it is about the experience and being able to tell with your body when you're racing kind of when you can push on a bit and when you can't.
Yeah.
Like I definitely wanted to at Nice kind of prove to myself that I had improved a lot from Kona and that I thought I could go back to Kona this year and win, because otherwise I didn't really want to take my slot. And I had a lot of conversations with Will about what kind of performance I'd have to put together to kind of prove that to myself. We had a sort of chat about the marathon beforehand, and he was kind of saying, you know, err on the side of caution, you know, maybe start off at kind of 5 minute per kilometre pace and then see what you've got in the last 10k. I kind of definitely didn't do that.
Didn't quite go to that plan.
Yeah, I kind of set off and I was like, I'm just going to run at what feels good. And I think I had in my head that I thought I could probably do a 3:20 marathon if I had a really, really good day.
Yeah.
So kind of set off and it all felt quite good. And I looked down at my watch at kind of the end of the first lap and was like, Will is going to kill me if I can't now hold this together. He's just going to say, I told you so. You should have been conservative. But actually, I generally felt pretty good the whole way around on the run. And funnily enough, so my husband Barney said that he wasn't out there, but he was tracking it, and Will was also tracking it and messaging Barney. And I think after the first 5k split, kind of messaged Barney to be like, she's going to blow up. She's gone up way too hard. And yeah, so like generally the whole marathon, I was just, you know, trying to take on lots of nutrition and lots of hydration, and yeah, managed to just kind of get round. And again, like with the 4 laps, so you've got pretty good support the whole way around, and there's lots and lots of people to kind of almost mark yourself against to see how you're doing. So yeah, I loved it. It was just a really, really good day out. Really nice to have a race that kind of all seemed to fit together. So yeah, just got to try and do that again in Kona now.
A similar thing out in Kona. Well, how do you think your race has moved forward from last year then? If it all goes perfectly, what do you feel you can run off the bike in Kona this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. So like last year, I did a 3:38, which I was hoping to do more like a 3:30.
Yeah.
And yeah, in an ideal world, I'd be able to do like sub 3:30. Like it's just really hard to tell with the conditions, because it really depends on how hot and humid it is. Because like Nice was quite hot, but it's not humid there. So like I know that I can run quite well in the heat. Just so, yeah. I mean, if I had my ideal race in Kona, I'd probably, I think probably a similar swim to last year, because you're always going to have to swim through the men. The bike, it'd be nice to go a bit faster, but I think I also have to be quite conscious that if I overbike, then that does impact the run. And I think Kona in particular, you probably win, you win or lose it on the run. And if you can actually hold it together more in the run, you'll make up a lot more time than if, say, you took an extra 5 or 10 minutes off the bike course. But yeah, I mean, it would be really, really nice to, if I could do like a 3:20, then that would give me, like a sort of 9:50-ish time, which would be pretty epic. So
it sure would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, well, as you're getting faster and faster, obviously there'll be interest from companies to sort of help you out and sponsor you a bit. Who are some of the people who've been helping you out recently?
So we've got some really good sponsors through Free Speed. So I've already talked about Precision Hydration. We also have Orca, who give us our wetsuits and our tri-suits and everything. And again, that stuff's been amazing. I lent my old wetsuit, my old Orca Alpha, to one of the girls I was out in Nice with, because she hates swimming, and she put it on and was like, oh my God, you can actually get a wetsuit that feels nice. I thought they're so flexible, it kind of doesn't really feel like you're swimming in anything at all. So they've been really good. Skechers give us our trainers, and again, it's just nice to have such a kind of range of trainers to pick from. And then Cliff Bar give us our nutrition, which is pretty handy for Kona, because that's the nutrition that they use out there.
Oh, perfect.
And then this year I've also started working with Parkour, who do a load of wheels, and they've just been incredible. So I used the disc out in Samarin, and it was quite a windy day, but like this disc, like you don't feel like you're riding a disc. Like you get the speed from it, but it's so stable. So yeah, like really excited to be working with them and see what other wheels I can use going forward.
Nice. And just finally, to wrap this up, I've got to ask the question: as you get higher and higher towards the top of the age group rankings, do you have any thoughts about what the future might hold and whether you maybe race pro in the future? This
is a question that's been
the $1 million question, Ruth. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I had to ask it though. Everyone's thinking it.
Yeah, it's a really tough one for me, to be honest. I think yes, there's a big part of me that really wants to go and race pro, but I still want it to be fun, and obviously at the moment it's quite fun because I'm winning.
Yeah.
And I think, specifically over the next year or so, like I'm really enjoying this new job, so I can't see myself giving that up for another year or so, and I don't really think I'd be able to make the improvements that I'd want to in the pro field, so probably for another year. But saying that, the pro license does give you lots of flexibility with races, so part of my head is thinking, actually, maybe for next year it could be perfect, because then you can just enter races as and when work's not as busy.
Yeah, just go out and have fun, race as a pro, and give yourself a couple of years just to ease into it and enjoy the racing with the flexibility, maybe.
So yeah, and I think that's the thing. I just have to work out in my head whether I will still enjoy it if I'm not at the front.
Yeah, I hear you.
That would be the deciding factor, I think.
Hey, well, listen, it's been great catching up with you. We wish you all the best. Have you got any races coming up between now and Kona, or is it all about the focus?
I'm doing the Alpe d'Huez long course next Thursday.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's an epic race, isn't it?
Yeah, so that was actually the first longer than Olympic distance that I did. And I had, I was sick all the way through, like in the swim, out the swim, everywhere. So it was not my best experience, but I think at least it means I can go and get a PB. So
that's right. And you love climbing, so It's going to be a better day than the last time, right?
Exactly.
All right, well, brilliant. Listen, we wish you all the best for that and all the best in your build-up for Kona, and hopefully we can get you back on to hear about your race after you do that. And who knows, maybe you'll be back on the top of the podium step this year, hey?
Fingers crossed, yeah, hopefully.
Fingers crossed. All right, listen, thank you very much for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Hard worker, Hells. She knows how to graft.
Rob, wow, 60 to 70 hour working week plus 20 hours plus the training it's incredible.
It's impressive, isn't it? She's not afraid of the 5 a.m. get-ups. Love it. I'm afraid of the 5 a.m. get-ups at the moment. I could do with a bit of that, Hells.
I've been doing 5:30 and I'm fine, and then I just get to Friday. Probably I get home from Friday and I'm just like, oh wow, collapse on the sofa.
Zonkaroonie.
Yeah, Zonkaroonie. Rob, I've got a couple of little bits of news to bring you.
Yeah.
First up is that they have announced the categories which are going to be in the Paratriathlon for Tokyo 2020. And you might remember Andy Lewis, he's sort of nicknamed Blade Runner Andy.
Yeah.
He got
Sad
gold
news this, isn't it?
in Rio. Yeah, I watched him, I spoke to him, and it's gutting for him because he's not going to be able to defend his title in Tokyo because that category, the category that he is in, hasn't been included in the program, so he misses out.
Super harsh,
Ryan,
that, isn't it?
I know Ryan Taylor won't be able to race. Hannah Moore as well, European champion. But then, Rob, on the flip side, Dave Ellis will be able to. So he races in the visually impaired category now at the Rio Paralympics.
He's a super fast runner, isn't he?
Yeah. So at the Rio Paralympics, they had that category for women, but not for men.
Ah, gotcha.
Whereas in Tokyo, they will be, they'll have it for both. They'll have visually impaired for men and women. So while he would have missed out in Rio, he will get the chance to try to qualify for Tokyo. So yeah, really, really rubbish news for some athletes, and then good news for other athletes. It's really difficult, isn't it?
It is. And the rumour is that Mark Buckingham's been doing some guiding for him as well, because they've got to find someone who's fast enough to run with him and guide him. So who knows, maybe we'll see Bucko at the Paralympics as a guide.
Well, it's a bit like Michele Jones. She was a guide and she got gold, at the Rio Paralympics for with the fellow Aussie.
Oh, brilliant.
So, yeah, there you go. And then, Rob, one other bit of news is about a film, which we should all go and see.
Yeah, so the film We Are Triathletes hits theatres this Wednesday in America. Now, there's a couple of showings in the UK, but when I've checked the website, most of the UK showings seem to be on September the 11th of this year. So if you go to, there's an article on Slow Twitch about it, you can read, and it sends you through the link. It's uk.demand.film/We Are Triathletes if you want to go and check it out. The showings pretty much all over the country in all manner of places, not just like the big major cities. So it's a super keen Chinese American filmmaker / triathlete has made a film about Challenge Roth, and it's meant to be brilliant. So I've seen the trailer and it does look good. The film work, you just see a really well shot film with beautiful cinematography. Yes. It looks awesome.
I did have a look, actually. There's one going on in Manchester, and then there's one going on various around the country. So, yeah, you can check it out. But I was thinking, I don't know if I'm around, Rob. That's what I was thinking. Don't know if I'm around, but it does look very much worthwhile checking out. And thank you very much to Kerry McGawley, listener of the show, for alerting us to that as well.
Absolutely. Right, last little bit of news. How's what's happening with Fueled by Cake?
Oh, yeah. So, Rob, this weekend, Sunday, spent the day at a local market selling them, so it's like a craft and sort of foodie market, trying not to eat all the massive scones that were a couple of stalls down from me. So oh my god, they're so good. So we sold about 23 books. So that's good.
Fantastic.
It was a long old day, Rob.
So Fueled by Cake, Fueled by Cake 2, in fact, I should say, Fueled by More Cake, is Helen's charity cake recipe book. So if you're interested in getting yourself a copy, get over to fueledbycake.com. If you're one of the people who came over at the Outlaw, I hope you're listening, who came over and took some of the sample cake that was meant for the people who bought the book and ate it before buying a book and then said, "Oh, I've not got any money with me." Get online and buy a copy now. Your conscience is speaking.
It's fueledbycake.com. It's all for charity. It's for Melanoma UK, Young Epilepsy, and our local hospice here in Cheshire. And yeah, I'm trying to raise £15,000, and I am getting there. We are getting there, Rob. It's awesome.
How many
and
books
loads
have you
of
got to
lovely
go?
recipes. How much have I got to go?
How many books to go?
Oh, I've got about 350 books maybe left. 350,
Brilliant.
400.
So we're not going to do the internet sales thing where we say books are selling out, buy yours soon, because there's a few left. We're not going to lie to you, but get on it, everybody. Buy 2, one for yourself and another for yourself. That's how much cake you need.
Fueledbycake.com.
And then one last final thing from us, a bit of a milestone for us this really. Excuse me, we've just checked our download numbers and we've just passed a pretty significant milestone. We've just gone through, the metric for podcasting is the 90-day downloads. How many downloads have happened in the last 90 days? We've just broken the 50,000 mark, 50,000 downloads of the show in the last 3 months. So we're on track, if things keep building this way, to do 250,000 downloads in a year, which is pretty phenomenal when you think we did 17 downloads of the first show that we did. Do you remember in the conservatory 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And I think 16 of those were your mum and my mum. So
Yeah, probably.
love it. So thanks very much for listening, everybody. If you can if you could leave us a review on iTunes, that would be brilliant, because what happens when you leave reviews on iTunes is their clever algorithm thing moves you up in the rankings and more people see it, and then more people can click on the show and listen to it, which is super duper. So thank you very much, and keep on downloading. Hope you enjoy the interviews we've got coming. In the coming weeks, we've got interviews from Neil Eddy, who was the first male age grouper at Ironman UK recently. We've got an interview with Fraser Cartmel, who's won Ironman UK and Ironman UK 70.3 and all manner of other races, pretty much a local legend. Who else have we got coming up, Hels?
Well, we have a very, very special episode, haven't we?
We do. Tell us about it.
Well, I'm going to do a whole episode on periods.
We've
So
got
I've
Helen's
pretty much
special.
Yeah, it's Rob, seriously though, guys and girls, it's been amazing talking to the different people that I've spoken to. And so, yeah, whether you are male or female, it will be a good listen. If you're a coach, you will benefit from listening to it. If if you have females in your lives, you will benefit from listening to it. If you are a female, clearly you're going to love it.
So basically, everybody's going to benefit from listening to this, because I remember we had the chat about this when you pitched the idea, and I listened to what you said and I was like, I don't know any of this. I know lots of women in my life. I don't know any of this. I didn't know that affected you like that. So you're dead right. For anybody who's involved in coaching, I think it should be part of the coach education curriculum. And for anyone who's a man, it should be a part of the man education curriculum. So we all understand what goes on a little bit, really. So I can't wait for that to happen. That's going to be out in a couple of weeks' time, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. We're going to have a chat about it, aren't we? And then, we'll get it out there.
Great stuff. All right, well, listen, we need to wrap this up for this week. Thanks for listening, everybody. So again, you can go to precisionhydration.com and use the code Oxygen20 for 20% off. You can become a patron. You can buy Fuel by Cake at fuelbycake.com. And if you could leave us a review over on iTunes, and even better if it was a 5-star review, if you think us worthy, that'd be brilliant. Thank you very much. And thanks for contributing to us breaking that 50,000 downloads in 90 days barrier. We're just loving it, and we'll keep on bringing out the podcasts for you. So listen, till next week, I'm Coach Rob Wilby.
I'm Helen Murray.
You've been listening to the Oxygenaddict Triathlon Podcast. Have a great, safe training and racing week, everyone. We'll speak to you again soon. See ya.